So today we're doing something new, something fun, something different. And also I'm sick, so... Hello and welcome to my channel, The Danish Readaholic. Today I'm giving you some book recommendations based on my favorite animals. I don't know how I came up with this, but I thought it would be fun, so here we are. I apologize for the fact that there was no video Wednesday. I am sick, as you can tell, and probably hear, and I hadn't pre-filmed anything, and I just was dying, so there was that. So instead you're gonna get a Friday video and a Saturday video, so yes. But we do have some books to talk about, so I think we should get on with it. So I have 5 animals and I have 2 to 3 books for each animal. So we do have, as I said, a couple of books to talk about. The first animal that we have is an orca, which is my spirit animal, my all-time favorite animal. Love it. So let's see which books I will recommend based on that. The first one is quite an obvious one because the main character is an orca. So obviously this fits a lot of the themes, like it fits the behavior of an orca, it fits the habitat and everything. So, I mean, there's not really anything to say as to why it fits with the orca because you can see it. So in this one we follow Vega and Deneb, who are 2 young orcas, they're siblings, and they get like lost from they get separated. That was the word that I was looking for. They get separated from their pod and are then trying to first find each other and then find their family. And we go with them on this journey, and it's really heartwarming and a lot about the trust that they have in each other. And it's just really, really adorable, so I recommend. It is a middle grade, but it's also a kind of middle grade where you don't really know what's gonna happen and if they will all make it out, so I recommend. Despite having like an overall playful and calm demeanor towards humans, orcas can be vicious and they can be lethal. It is not common that they attack humans, but we see that in the way that they hunt, that they are evil. Well, not evil, that's a strong word, but they can be vicious and they do tend to play with their food. So because of that, I have decided to go for To Kill a Kingdom by Alexander Christo. In this we follow a siren, mostly, who hates humans. And she sees them as like vermin, basically. So she, whenever she has to kill somebody, like a human, she will drag it out. And she will kind of play with them. But where I'm going with this is that despite her overall calm demeanor in the sea, she will be vicious and lethal towards humans. So it's kind of like a flip, because she will be calm and collected towards all of the other creatures in the sea, but when it comes to the humans, she will be vicious and lethal. In this we also follow a Prince Lion who is a pirate and a siren hunter. So this is just an overall great story. It is a standalone and it is so fast-paced, but it's so good. I say that as if I don't like fast-paced books, but I do. The orca is an apex predator, which means that it doesn't really have that many natural enemies apart from humans. I felt like that was a little bit interesting to look into, and I was like, okay, which book do I have where there is a creature or a person that doesn't really have any natural enemies? And I came up with Kingdom of the Wicked, because in this we follow, well, 2 sisters, where one of them dies and the other summons a demon to figure out what happened to her sister. This demon then just happens to be one of the 7 princes of hell, which then has like no natural enemies. So that is where I'm going with this. This is just such a great story, a very gothic feel to it, and I like the whole demon aspect. I'm excited to move along with the series and see where it goes. So now I'm actually going to move on to the next animal, and for the next 4 animals I only have 2 books for each. So we have a tiger. I love tigers. They're so beautiful, and I like the fact that they're like, once again, calm. So they're not attacking in the same way that, say, a jaguar would. A jaguar would see you, kill you, even if it wasn't really all that hungry. Whereas a tiger, kind of, it sees you, and if you're a threat to it, it will attack you. If it is hungry, it will probably attack you. But if you're minding your business in a safe distance, it's not likely to pick up the fight, because why should it? And I like that. The tiger is also the biggest of the cat species, and I've decided to go with that and choose a bigger book. Looking at it now, it is not a bigger book, but I went with this and I'm gonna stick with it. So I've gone with these Violent Delights, which to me is a little bit of a bigger book. It's close to 500, and that is where I classify it as a bigger book. It is not exactly 500, it is a little bit under, but still, to me, this would be a big book. So that is why I choose this. In this, we follow Roma and Juliet, who are part of these two rivalry gangs in 1920s Shanghai. We then discover that there's this kind of plague going around, killing people, or making people kill themselves, actually. Juliet and Roma has to figure out what this thing is and how to stop it, and to do so, they have to work together. The tiger also lives a very solitary life, so they would usually be alone, or maybe 1-2 together. So very solitary, and only be together when mating needs to happen. And for that, I decided to find a standalone that I would recommend you. And for that, I decided to go with Year of the Reaper, which you have probably heard me talk about before. In Year of the Reaper, we follow Cassia, who is escaping from this prison that he has been in for reasons I honestly don't remember. And we meet him when he is on his way back to where he lives from this prison. When he gets to this place, to his home, he finds out that the king and queen has kind of been forced to live there because there is this plague that is killing everybody else. When he enters the city, the new prince is presented to the world, the new baby prince, but there is also an assassination attempt on said prince. Cassia then jumps in to save this baby prince, and this starts the mystery, kind of where we're trying to figure out who wanted to kill the prince and why. That is Year of the Reaper, and it's a standalone, and it's a freaking phenomenal one at that. Another of my favorite animals is a lynx, mostly the Eurasian one, but also like the other types because they're very similar. But the Eurasian one is the one that I'm most familiar with, and that kind of lives in my area, so that is cool. I haven't never like they're not native to Denmark, but they're native to maybe Sweden, maybe Norway. I'm not like the northern part of Europe as well. I am not 100% sure, but I know that they are somewhere in Europe, which is cool. The first book that I have picked because of the environment that the lynx lives in. They do tend to live in a colder climate, and I've kind of wanted to go in the direction of a polar-ish fantasy. I wouldn't call this 100% polar fantasy, but it's probably a little bit more accurate to where the lynx actually lives, because this is set in a Russian-style country. We are in, the colder climate, but not necessarily polar or Arctic. So I'm gonna go for Blood Air. This is... Excuse me. This is an Anastasia retelling where we follow... Her name is actually Anastasia. Anastasia Mikhailov, and she has a gift to control people's blood. So she can make your blood boil, which is cool. And I'm gonna have to be honest, I do not remember a lot of the plot for this because it's been so long since I've read it, but I do definitely recommend it. I like the colder climate. I know that there is an enemies to lovers, but there's also a lot of other strong connections with this. I really, really enjoy it. We also have a little bit of rebellion going on in this. I would definitely recommend this. like for the vibes and the environment alone. So, and also the blood magic, so cool. The lynx is an opportunistic predator. As soon as the opportunity is there, it will attack, which made me give it like the description of being kind of like impulsive in a sense. And I've kind of taken that to a character that I really, really enjoy, but she has a tendency to be impulsive, or at least I think so. And that is Spice Roads. Imani. Imani has a tendency to kind of mess up the plans that they have, because she has this impulsiveness to her that just she physically cannot not do something. If not Imani, then Taha has the same impulsiveness going on. So this is why I felt like this book would be a great pick for the opportunistic predator vibes, because they both are opportunistic predators, I would even call them. So in the Spice Roads, we follow Imani, whose brother is presumed dead. She then discovers with her younger sister that her brother might actually be alive, and then they're sent on like a rescue mission to this other part of the country that they didn't even know existed. We follow them on this mission to go and save their brother, and that is awesome. She is then also accompanied by Taha and his gang as kind of like protection, and also because the government doesn't really trust Imani to do what is right for their little realm. I would definitely recommend this. I picked it up because one, it's super beautiful, and it also had like enemies to lovers vibes, and I like that. When I got into it, I was like, oh my god, this book is phenomenal. So I can already tell you now that my wrap-up for March will have at least 2 5 stars, this being one of them. For now, I still have some books to go, so I don't know if there might be more, but... Next up, we have not a cat. It is a dwarf caiman, a crocodile, but a tiny one. I actually do like all crocodiles and consider crocodiles as a whole to be a favorite of mine. But if I had to pick between the different types of crocodiles that we have, I would go with the dwarf caiman, because it's cute and I like it. So, first up, I wanted to pick a small book because of its small size. It is like, it's a part of the name, it's a dwarf caiman, so I wanted to pick a shorter book. And for that, I have decided to go with Every Heart a Doorway. I don't physically own it, so you can see it here. It is one of the best books that I read last year. I really enjoyed the world building. I really enjoyed the story itself, and also the pacing. It didn't feel rushed despite being a short book. It felt like I got everything I needed from the story, which is really, really great, because sometimes with that short a book, I feel like they can be too fast-paced, which I don't like. In Every Heart a Doorway, we follow a girl, I don't remember her name, but she has been to one of these magical realms or worlds, similarly to like Alice in Wonderland or Narnia. She has then come home and doesn't really know what to do with herself, so she goes to this home, or her parents put her in this home for people similar to her. And it is just such a fun way to like learn about this place, and I like the way that it's done. I know I've talked about this before, but we learn about this place by the character learning about the place. Everything, like, our character doesn't know the terminology that they use to describe their worlds, and she is explained how it works and why they say these words about it, and that way we learn it. So it doesn't feel like an info dump on the reader. It feels like they are teaching our main character what everything means, and that is just a phenomenal way to do it, in my opinion. I really, really enjoy this, and I would recommend heavily if you haven't already read it, which you probably have. So, similarly to the tiger, actually, the dwarf caiman is usually found either by itself or in pairs, and that is where I kind of wanted to maybe put in a duology. So, I am recommending Incendiary. I think the duology is called The Hollow Crown, but I'm really not sure. But the books are Incendiary and Illusionary. Illusionary is still, to this day, my all-time favorite book. But it's a sequel, so I can't really recommend it on its own, which I wish I could. Not that this isn't good, but I would recommend this way more and would have picked it for some of the other prompts as well, probably. But since it is a sequel, I cannot do that. But in Incendiary, we follow Renata Convita, who is a memory thief. She can steal people's memories, but if she steals too many, she can create what is called a hollow, where you're basically just a shell of a human being, like your soul has left your body. She is then a part of a rebellion against the crown, but when something goes awry, she has to infiltrate the palace and work as a spy there. We follow her as she does that, which is phenomenal, if you ask me. This is just such a great duology, and the characters are phenomenal, and there's just so many things that I absolutely love about this duology, so I cannot recommend it enough. The final animal that I have is a snake. Once again, similarly to the CAIMAN, I love all snakes. There's not really one where I'm like, I don't like you. And also there's not really one where I'm like, you're my favorite. But there is one that for some reason has always spoken to me ever since I had to do a tiny project on that when I was younger. So, in my city we have a rainforest. Like a big indoor rainforest. And once when I was younger in school, we had to pick 2 animals each. And then we had to learn a lot of things about it and then tell the rest of the class when we went to that rainforest. And me being me and wanting to be different, I decided to pick animals that I knew for certain that no one else would pick because they would be a little bit special, a little bit different. And for that I picked a WAGLER'S pit viper, which is this. Because they have that in the rainforest, but I've never heard of it before. Ever since then, I've had that snake on my mind all the time. So that is why I'm going with that. I also like pythons, 10 out of 10. If I didn't pick this, I probably would have picked some type of python, but any snake. Good snakes. Like snakes. This pit viper will appear kind of like sluggish, since it doesn't really do much. It just kind of remains in one spot and then just waits for something to pass by, like something it can attack and eat to pass by. But then when it does, it is quite quick to do so. And for some reason, that reminded me of Murder for the Modern Girl by Kendall Culper. We follow Guy and we follow Ruby. The one that I'm going to be talking mostly about is Ruby, because Ruby has the ability to read minds. She uses this to find predators, like people who want to rape someone or assault someone or that kind of gist, and she kills them before they have the chance to do so, or maybe after they have done so. You know the gist. So she kills bad men. And she will do this by sitting in a corner, listening, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Aside from that, in this we also follow Guy, as I mentioned, who is a shapeshifter, and he uses this to work at a morgue where he then kind of investigates these murders or these deaths of these men. Nobody can really explain why they died, so he looks into it and then figures out that they have been poisoned. Finally, for the viper, we have Girl Serpent Thorn. Simply because the viper is venomous, and so is our main character. Maybe she's poisonous, actually. No, she's venomous. I don't know. She is basically poison to the touch. That is all I'm trying to say. And that is why I felt like this would be the perfect recommendation for the pit viper. Not that it's poisonous to the touch, but it is venomous. In this we follow, what is her name? Soroya, who is, as I said, poisonous to the touch. She is then trying to figure out how to undo this curse, but then, she discovers, is that really what I needed to do? It has been a while since I've read this, but I do remember that there is a lot of great LGBTQ plus representation in this, and some great characters, so I recommend. I was planning on filming a lot more today, but I think I need to just edit this, and then I'll see you tomorrow. So, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment telling me if you enjoyed this, and also if you want to see me do this again, maybe you have an animal you would like me to recommend books based on. It would be fun to also base some recommendations on your favorite animals, so leave an animal down below and I will do it in the next one, if there will be a next one. If you just want to let me know that you're here but don't know what to comment, you can always leave a green heart. If you like this video, please hit the like icon, and if you want to see more of my bookish content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me. And until I see you next time, bye!